Hello people of the internet, my name is Salmon Pie, and welcome back to the MCC News Show. So for those of you who don't know, MCC stands for Minecraft Championships, which is a Minecraft event hosted by Major, or dang that's a long name. And it features 40 different Minecraft creators playing minigames and fighting. So recently, last Friday, December 5th, there was a special edition of the Minecraft Champion called the Jingle Jam, and it was organized by In the Littlewood, a member of the Yogcast. Only 5 people in MCC Jingle Jam had participated in previous MCCs, and they were coincidentally the top 5 players from that event. During MCC Jingle Jam, the red team, called Simon's Angels, got into dodgeball and won. This was probably because they had 2 players that had actually played before, Solidarity Gaming and In the Littlewood. This was also the first time that either of those players had won an MCC, and was also the first time a red team had gotten to dodgeball and won an MCC. Another thing from MCC Jingle Jam was that SP737 set the new time record on the Ace Race course, Python Crypt. His new time is now beaten Fruitberry's time by about 5 seconds. But it will be interesting to see if anyone can beat his time during MCC13. Speaking of MCC13, it is coming up shortly on December 12th, which will be this Saturday. So now I think it's time to change over to our science clothes and talk about the teams for this event. So right now I'm up here on the remains of what was supposed to be Tommy Innit's forehead. I was trying to make some pixel art of all the contestants. It was way too hard, so I have this failed Tommy Innit forehead and a kind of good Quackity. Anyway, first team on the roster is the Red Reindeer, which is Hug, Mephs, LD Shadow Lady, and Catherine Elizabeth. This team is mostly on people's bottom half of predictions. Seen a few people put it higher, but for the most part, somewhere between 6th and 8th place. And this is mostly due to it being compared to the MCC9 Yellow Yaks, which had Hug and Mephs, similarly to the Red Reindeer, but also Rip Mika and Strawberry. And I don't know if this is the greatest comparison of teams. There's also another team that could be compared to, the Green Guardians of MCC10, with Hug, LD Shadow Lady, similarly to the Red Reindeer, as well as S Major and Shovel. However, neither of these teams are the greatest comparisons. In terms of this one, Mephs and S Major are around the same in terms of coin average and skill. Mephs is a bit higher with his coin average, but the jump between Shovel and Catherine Elizabeth is kind of high, and it isn't the best comparison. Alternatively, with the MCC9 Yellow Yaks, Mephs was not playing at his best ability, as he was not prepared and was subbed in at kind of the last moment. The other problem with comparing it to these two teams is that it's a bit worse stats-wise than the Green Guardians, but it's a bit better stat-wise than the Yellow Yaks. So, Green Guardians got 1st and the Yellow Yaks got 9th. That gives the Red Reindeers somewhere between 1st and 9th. That's not that helpful. So the next team I thought about comparing it to was MCC9 Blue Bats. Fruitberries, H-Bomb, False Symmetry, and Rendog. So the Blue Bats kind of have a similar makeup to the Red Reindeer, at least going into MCC9. 2 less competitive players with the Hermits, and 1 S tier with Fruitberries, and H-Bomb, high A tier. However, I think this team is also a bit better than the Red Reindeer, due to H-Bomb being like the greatest team player ever, and training False and Ren so great that they drastically improved. While Mephs is a very good player, I don't think he's as close as H-Bomb in that regard with team training. So the last team that I think that they're best compared to, MCC6 Green Guardians. Hug, Flip, Catherine Elizabeth, and Strawberry. Hug and Catherine are the same, but Meph's coin average is a bit higher than Flip's, and LD Shadow Ladies is a bit higher than Strawberry's. Overall, this team, the MCC6 Green Guardians, got 6th place, and I think that with the Red Reindeers being a bit better, they will probably place 6th or higher. Also interesting to note, Catherine hasn't really been on that many competitive, and neither has LD Shadow Lady, so their placements might be kind of higher than in previous tournaments due to that. The one final thing to note about the Red Reindeer is that out of all 4 members, only Cug has played Parkour Tag and the new Ace Race map. That might be a potential handicap for them. The next team we have is the Coral Carolers, and before I talk about them, I'd like to point out that Orange Ornaments would have been a much better name. This team has the powerful duo of Sapnap and Kratzy, as well as Wisp and Antedium, who are both very solid players. This team is mostly predicted to get 2nd place, and that makes a lot of sense. It's very reminiscent of the MCC9 Green Guardian, which had Kratzy, Sapnap, as well as George and Aerith. George is a bit better than both Wisp and Dan, but Wisp and Dan both have higher averages than Aerith, so that seems to pretty much balance out. MCC9 Green Guardians also got 2nd, so it makes sense to put the Coral Carolers in 2nd. Something to note is that while this team is mostly talked about as being the main PvP team, it will also be good at movement games, as Sapnap is one of the best people at parkour, and Kratzy is also pretty good at PvP. So the third team we have to go over is the Yellow Yetis, consisting of H-Bomb, Smallish Beans, the Orion Sound, and Sylvie. This team usually isn't predicted to do so hot, normally around 8th or 9th on people's lists, and I think how it does depend on whether or not they decide to go competitive. H-Bomb usually does very well on teams, but the last 6 or 7 teams he's been in have all been very competitive. Smallish Beans also has the potential to do very well. The Orion Sound and Sylvie don't have point averages that are that high. If this team does decide to go competitive, they'll probably shake up some people's rankings by a lot, and their best games will probably be team names like Sands of Time, Bingo, and Build Mart. So those would probably be the games that they want to have near the end with the highest point multipliers. So the 4th team in the tournament is the Mint Mistletoes, with Fruit Berries, George Not Found, Carl Jacobs, and Ludwig. So for this team to do well, which would be kind of unlikely, a few things would need to happen. First off, Fruit Berries would need to have another excellent performance, which doesn't seem too unlikely as he's been doing very well in the past 3 tournaments. George would also need to have a very good performance, coming in top 15 or top 10. And then the final factor would be either Carl or Ludwig having a very good performance. Carl last time performed 34th, and Ludwig is a new player, so it will probably be very hard. But if either of them can do very well and break into the top 20, that could help this team a lot. So the final team in the first half is the Emerald Elves, with Tommy and Tubbo, again, CPK, and Finster. This team has a lot of potential, but they also might just meme around the whole time and not place too highly. It depends on whether or not they try really hard. There are also some questions that would need to be answered to fully predict where they will end up. CPK has been improving by a lot, so will he come top 10 in this tournament? If he does, this team could have a chance of doing very well. Is this also a tournament where Tommy gets top 10, or is it a tournament where he gets in the 20s? Could this even be one of those where Tommy gets top 5? If so, then I can see this team doing really well. And then finally, Tubbo. Tubbo has fluctuated between getting around 15th and getting in the 20s. So if Tubbo gets within the top 15, that'll be really good for this team. Then the final question is, will Tubbo get within the top 10? In MCC9, Tubbo is actually set to get within the top 10, or maybe even top 5, before he got greened on in survival games, and they completely lost Sands of Time. If he could perform again like he did in the first half of MCC9, it's a possibility that Tubbo could get top 10. And if this team, with Tommy in top 5, and both Tubbo and CPK in top 10, could achieve that, then they would be real contenders for Dodgeball. However, that's kind of unlikely. It might happen, but it's kind of unlikely. So anyway, after going over those first 5 teams, I think it's time for a break. from all of the statistics, time to go over MCC Meme Review. Yay! Wow, I'm Swedish now. It's time to look on the MCC subreddit and see what wonderful memes they have for us there. Hey look, it's a meme about the captain winning. Hey look, another meme about the captain winning. Hey look, a meme about memes about the captain winning. I am so proud of this subreddit. But anyway, that's enough about the memes. Back to the teams. So the first team in the second half we have is the Teal Turkeys, with Krinios, Eret, Illumina, and Puns. This team is said to do very well in the event, usually placed around second or third in people's predictions, reminiscent of the MCC12 Blue Bats, with Kara Corvus, Captain Puppy, Illumina, and Puns. However, in this event, Illumina and Puns have already played once, so they will probably have improved a lot. So it's probably going to do better than Blue Bats, who came in 6th. This team will do very well in movement and PvP. In movement, the weakest player, Eret, isn't really weak in movement games, and they're all around very solid in movement. In PvP, Illumina and Puns are very good at PvP, winning multiple rounds of Battle Box and placing very highly, and Krinios is also good. Another team that this is reminiscent of is the MCC10 Yellow Yaks. It had Krinios and Tapple, a very strong duo, along with King Buren, and Michael. I think that Tapple is slightly better than Illumina and Puns, and Eret is around the same level as Michael, but Illumina and Puns would probably both outscore King Buren, so the team overall seems pretty similar. The next team we have is the Cyan Candy Canes. Fundy, Pills of Minecraft, Wilbursip, and Quackities. So there are two big teams that this is similar to. First one is the MCC12 Green Guardians, with Tapple, Pilza, George, and Wilbur. The other one is the MCC11 Violet Vampires, with Fundy, Tommy, Wilbur, and Quackity. So the MCC12 Green Guardians came first, and the two switches that would be made from the Cyan Creepers here would be Tapple to Fundy and George to Quackity. First off, Tapple to Fundy. Tapple's a lot more PvP based, and Fundy's a lot more movement based, as well as being good at miscellaneous games like Rocket League. But all in all, they're both very solid players, and around the same. George and Quackity, however, are a bigger difference. Quackity usually places around the bottom 30, while George has top 10 potential in most tournaments. So compared to the MCC12 Green Guardians, this team probably won't do as well, seeing as this team, the Green Guardians, basically swept every single game besides Bingo and got first. However, the other team that they're more similar to is MCC11 Violet Vampires. This team got 3rd overall, and tryharded really bad, because the Reddit underestimated them so much. Biggest change here would be Tommy for Filza. And, while they're pretty similar in terms of points, the big difference is Filza's more movement and miscellaneous game based, while Tommy is more PvP based. So, the big thing that might hold this team down is that going from MCC12 Green Guardians to here, they switch Tapple for Fundy, which loses their big PvP link, and going from Violet Vampires to here, they lose Tommy, which was their big PvP link. This team might not do as well as PvP teams. They have gained Fundy or Phil, which are both very good at miscellaneous games, like Rocket League. The final blue team of this event is the Sapphire Santas, or the Sapphire Simmers, as they are most commonly known, with Vixella, Critic Zeus, James Turner, and Dr. Gluon. This team will most likely be playing for fun, but they could pop off and not get last place. One thing that is kind of notable is that their wool rush strategy for Battle Box might not work as well with the new map, as the wool is elevated and higher up than it was in previous maps. Okay, so going into the last two teams, these two are teams that are probably going to do very well. First one is the Purple Penguin, Pizza Hut, Caracargus, False Symmetry, and Grain. Two teams that this is pretty reminiscent of are the Lime Liches from MCC11, Fruit Berries, Pen Dog, False Symmetry, and Grain, and the MCC10 Orange Ocelots, the Pizza Hut, Smallish Beans, False Symmetry, and Cubs Fan. So comparing it to the Lime Liches, you have Fruit Berries swapped out for Pizza Hut, which would probably give it a higher edge in movement games, but be less good at PvP, and Rendog swapped out for Kara, and they're both excellent support players. Compared to the orange Ocelots, you have Green swapped out for Cupran and Kara for Smallish Beans. Green's a lot more consistent in his placements. Cupran had a great pop-off performance in MCC10. So, to replicate this team's success, Green might have to do very, very well. The games that this team will be good at are the general team games as well as Rocket's Belief, of Bingo and Buildmart, as they've all placed very high in it before, as well as Sands of Time, as Pete and Green are very good scorers in that game, while Kara and False are also very good, and Rocket's Belief, where it can all do super well. So the final team is the Pink Presence, and this is the team that people say is probably going to win, and it's easy to see why. It has Dream, the captain, Scott's Major, and Trouble. There are two big reasons that this team will probably do well. For one, it has no weak games. Like, what game is this going to do badly at? Like, they won't win every single game, but they'll do very well at most of them. Buildmart, they're good. PvP, they're good. Movement, they're really good. This team is going to do well at all the games. And the other reason is that they don't have any weak links. So far, the probably best performing team without any weak links was the MCC12 Green Guardians. Tapple, George, Filzit, and Wilbur. This team didn't have any players that placed very low, and its highest player was Tapple at high A tier. Compare this to Pink Presence, where they also don't have any players super low, but their best player is Dream in S tier. This feels like the Green Guardians, except on steroids. So yeah, that's why there's so much hype around the Pink Presence. Of course, they're not guaranteed to win. Other teams could do super well. Purple, Teal, Cyan, Coral, they could all do very well, but Pink is the one that most people think is likely to win. Now that we've gone over all the teams from this MCC, finally the last thing to talk about is the update video that just came out this Friday. So in the update video, few things got revealed, and most of them were pretty predictable. Survival Games got a new map. Battlebox got a new map. Rocket's Belief got a new map. And there's snow everywhere. Also a few minor changes to Parkour Tag, but if you really want to learn everything that's changed, you should probably just go watch the update video. So yeah, thanks for watching my video. I'm sorry about the stupid music that played the whole time. Couldn't figure out anything else that would be good to put. And yeah, MCC13 Christmas Edition. Coming soon.